Hey, Miss Monahan here, and hopefully you got to see a little bit of that Little Mermaid right in the background. That is the Hans Christian Andersen story, Mermaid. And we are going to spend a little bit of time analyzing it today. It is not the Disney story, Little Mermaid. It is the Hans Christian Andersen story, Little Mermaid. And I want you to think about a few things. First, what do you look at in life? This is a thematic question. Second one, the concept of voice. What is it that... power comes from voice. What does a voice do? It lets us communicate with other people. It lets us share an opinion. People talk about not having a voice, meaning that you don't have any power, any say. I want you to think about walking. That is a forward-moving motion, so that means that you can progress in life. Symbolically, whenever you see walking feet, that's moving forward in life. I also want you to think about... this as a feminist story. We're going to do a feminist critical reading. That means that we look at how women are portrayed and what's going on with the women. So, here is an overview of the story. If you haven't read it, and I highly recommend that you do, so you can pause this and go read it now if you want, or you can just wait. But anyway, kind of an interesting thing. I can't find the Little Mermaid again. I'll find her soon. Okay, so... she's first described as being a strange child, quiet and thoughtful. She lives at the bottom of the ocean, and she is rich, and she's the most beautiful of all the mermaids, and she has the best voice. She's the youngest sister of the king, and when they turn 15, the girls can go up to the surface, and they can see what it's like to have another life, what it's like to be human. Being a mermaid, you get to live 300 years, but then you die for good. If you are human, you get to have a soul, and so you only live a shorter while, but your soul lives on forever. And as a child, she sees this figurine, and here's what it says about her. She cared for nothing but her pretty red flowers like the sun, excepting a beautiful marble statue. It was the representation of a handsome boy carved out of pure white stone which had fallen to the bottom of the sea from a wreck. Okay, so this is what she looks at the rest of her life. Over and over, it keeps talking about how she references this boy, this statue. She's fixated on it. And this is where we talk thematically about what do you look at in life? What do you choose to focus on? Is it fashion magazines? Is it fast cars? Is it video games and war? What is it that you choose to look at all the time? Because it's going to shape who you are. Nathaniel Hawthorne believed this as well. He wrote a story called The Great Stone Face. I highly recommend reading. It's a thematic link to this one. And it's about looking at something your whole life. And even famous movie, what's it called? Citizen Kane deals with something similar, this rosebud concept. If you don't know what that means, you can watch Citizen Kane. But what is it you choose to look at your whole life, to watch? And that's what she chose. And she's fixated of it. When black clouds come over in the ocean, she looks at them. She's wondering what this human life is, even though she has everything she could ever want. The prettiest mermaid, rich king's daughter, best voice. Remember, best voice, concept of voice. And when at 15 she gets to go look, and she falls in love. Her other sisters, they go look, and they come back, and they're happy to live and delight at the sea. They're done. But her, she wants more. She wants, like the Disney song, huh? But she wants to go up, and she wants to live in the human world. And she's, let's see. She says, and she wants that human soul so much. She says, I would give gladly all the hundreds of years that I have to live to be a human being for only one day, and to have the hope of knowing the happiness of that glorious world above the stars. So she would rather live eternally than live a longer life. But really, also, there's a repeated line over and over in this, and she keeps thinking. Let's see. She keeps thinking about that statue of the boy and eternal life. Those are the things, the statue of the boy and eternal life. And so she's going to... and so all of a sudden, she sees when she's up above at 15, she gets to go up there. She sees a shipwreck, and a boy falls out, and it's like the stone. Oh my gosh, she's finally gotten this. And the stone of this boy is, or the actual boy that looks like the stone, he's a prince, and he's having a party, and she wants to be a part, so she saves his life. And she washes up on shore, and she kisses him, and she gets him back to health, and then she has to go back into the ocean. And then she hunts out the sea witch, because she's going to make it happen. She's going to find a way. And the sea witch is terrible. Lost my papers. They have flown away. So Sorry, here. Let me get these fixed. And there's going to be a price. She's let's see. So anyway, I'll just paraphrase. The sea witch, she says that you can go be human. Here's the price, though. You have to give me your tongue. So she's becomes dumb, and I think that that's not an accidental term. To be dumb means to be mute, but we think of that as being stupid, but it's also maybe not having a voice. People don't realize sometimes how smart people who don't have a voice are. They've given up their power. Without votes, without whatever, we sometimes underestimate people. The quiet ones, sometimes we underestimate them, don't we? So she has the loveliest and most powerful voice of all of them, but she's giving that up. And she lost my paper again. It's very windy. So she loses her voice to the sea witch. She also, to get her legs instead of a tail, she's going to be walking on sharp daggers for the rest of her life. So remember we talked about legs as being moving forward. So every progress piece is going to be like sharp daggers, and it's going to be painful for her to move forward. She's sacrificing a lot, and the repetitive line, it's eternal life, but it's mostly for this boy. She really, really wants it for the boy, and he has to fall in love with her to the point he's going to marry her and give up everything else for her, and if he doesn't, if he marries another, she's going to turn into bubbles. Well, guess what happens? He marries another. While he adored her, he couldn't speak to her. He referred to her as his dumb child. Like, she didn't have a voice. She didn't have power. And this is why I love teaching English, because that's about developing a voice. It gives you power to be able to speak and be heard. Don't mess around with like not learning how to speak well, being specific and not whatnot. It gives you a lot of power. And she loses out because she doesn't have a voice. And he marries another. And she claims, he thinks that it's the one who saved him. That's who he's fixated on, the one who saved him, but he doesn't know it's her because she can't tell him. She doesn't have a voice. And she could dance, so she dances happily at his wedding for him. And then she leaves, and she turns into air bubbles. She turns into the foam of the sea. And she does get to live forever, but she loses her family. Her sisters even, they sacrifice their hair, a symbol of their beauty, to try to save her. She had the opportunity to stab him in the heart with a dagger, because her sisters gave up their hair to the sea witch in order to get away to save her life, but she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't kill the boy. So she lived forever as air, eternally. And kind of an interesting take. Now, I want us to think about that Disney movie, if you've seen it. What does our society say when we, how different is our society than Hans Christian Andersen? Hans Christian Andersen said, if you are going to make that sacrifice, sometimes you're going to have to pay the ultimate price. She paid that price. She did not get the man. So feminist critical theory, when Disney did it, she got the man. She sold out her voice. She gave up her power, and every movement was painful in order to be with him, and he had no idea, no concept of it. And I think that from a feminist perspective, do people give up their voice for someone they love or someone they're fixated on? It maybe isn't a great idea. Maybe you shouldn't blow off studying to impress a guy. Maybe you shouldn't do that because you might need the voice later. Is Disney, giving us the wrong message, perhaps, by saying that in the end that's the right choice? I don't know. It's a different interpretation of this story, but that was not how it ended. She did not get him. She turned into sea bubbles, and her sisters lost all their hair trying to save her. And she was in excruciating pain when she was with him. So Hans Christian Andersen, who maybe knew about loneliness, he never married, he always wanted to, was a lonely bachelor. And he had one of the best voices around. His story's still heard today. But would he have traded it for love? Probably. Did he have the opportunity? No. And so, anyway, it's almost 10 minutes, which is one of my longer ones. So we're going to take a second to look at this beautiful statue of the Little Mermaid, perpetually in Copenhagen, there and sad and beautiful. And I hope you are well. Bye from Copenhagen.